liked for a trade. So we'll start with EuroCAD since, like I said, I like this one the best. Now, that doesn't mean it's a trade that we take, and that's the first thing that I want to talk about. There's a tweet right now. If you go to TrendSpider's Instagram page and go look at the tweet from Steve Burns that they reposted, Steve said that knowing how to be patient and do nothing is a underappreciated skill of profitable traders. Today is a perfect example of that, where we have a couple of ideas, we see things happening, but if they're not high probability setups, we don't want to just go rushing in and throwing money into those trades, right? So let's talk about EuroCAD. You can see the market sentiment line is swapping, right? Don't get discouraged from swapping market sentiment lines, okay? That's the first thing. I know that it can be something that turns people off, but we want to be flexible. We want to stay open-minded and want to really grow ourselves consistently as traders. So what I like to do when I can't find any perfect market sentiment lines is I'll still look at these swapping market sentiment lines, especially ones that I have price action structure carrying from the previous day. So if we look back to yesterday, remember we had a D1 entry yesterday here off the 200 EMA and it ripped. It moved to high a day, exactly as we'd expect. It pulled back, not breaking out for that new high. But then later in the day, as you can see, it looks like news finally shoved it higher and sent it up for that finish at the end of the day at 148.95, 148.94, right up here. So we saw bullish movement yesterday. Notice as we pulled back overnight, which caused the market sentiment line to drop into the sell zone, we pulled right back to that Asia high set yesterday, which was also the high that we rejected on the first push. So this was very clearly resistance yesterday, turned into support once we broke it yesterday afternoon and retested it here overnight last night in the Asian session. Now, again, we have another test to that level here at 4:45 as we move into the London session, and it breaks back above the 50 EMA. Now, off the jump, the things that we want to take note here, and it's in my notes. First, as you can see right here, I wrote it's in the Asian range still. So you can see it trading within that Asia high and Asia low. That's always going to make our setups a little bit more, you're going to shift the probabilities away from you rather than in your direction when you're trading in the Asian range. I have to be specific with how I word things. So probabilities will shift against you when you're trading still within that initial high and initial low set in the first 8 hours of the day, always. Now, on top of that, you do have this swapping market sentiment line where it shows buyers are in control. Now it shows sellers are in control. When we see that swap, we know that that means it's very indecisive today. So when it's indecisive and it's in the Asian range, those are two things that normally keep me out of the trade completely. That's why I haven't put a position on this yet today. However, you still want to study and still look for potential trade ideas. So if we go down here, as we zoom in a little bit, you can see the 8 and 21 shifted up. Now, market sentiment is bearish for sure, but as the 8 and 21 shift up, we know that it could hold that 8 EMA and trade to the top of that range, to that high of day. So if we go down to the 1 minute there, you can actually see we have bullish divergence that's set up at midnight into 1 a.m. You can see the RSI is rising. If I blow this up, RSI is rising here. Price action is falling. I marked that bottom here with this text and with this horizontal dotted line. So that's our divergent low. Now, it takes a few hours from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. to give you that higher low. It's the same higher low that it's set very quickly after. If you just draw this line a little bit further back, you can see it's right there, right? The higher low off the divergence structure is right here. Now, when it retests that higher low and holds above it, that could get you interested to say, okay, this could come up. Now we see it pull the market sentiment line into the buy zone, and we see it break under the 50 EMA for a minute and then right back above. So what I did was I marked that as our potential safe entry, is what we like to call it, because that's what we've proven to be a very profitable entry signal if the 15-minute setup is better than this one. Here again, remember, 15-minute is in the Asian range, 15-minute is swapping on the market sentiment line. So those two things make it a lower probability trade. Then, as you can see, it chops sideways. If you would have taken that trade, it pulls the market sentiment line from the buy zone, right here as I have it circled, down into the sell zone. And that's the first sign that this is not ready to move higher. Even as it pops back up here into profit, if you would have taken this position, that's your last exit signal, because look at market sentiment, it's in the sell zone. And now you can see market sentiment holding the sell zone, looking like it wants to pull this thing a lot lower. So it's important to watch market sentiment as you're developing in your D1 trades, but it's even more important to not get sucked in just because you have 1 minute structure. It's important to stay unbiased and unemotional on your 15-minute analysis. And if you have two big knocks against the setup where it's a swapping liquid 50 and it's still in the Asian range and it's Friday and you're already up on the week, why stretch yourself into a lower probability setup here? Does that make sense to everybody? Are there any questions about EuroCAD? We're going to transition now into Euro AUD, and you're going to see why I liked the 1 minute structure on EuroCAD better. The outcomes of the trades are different. Here, you're getting stopped out or you're making a small win here on EuroCAD. On Euro AUD, you would have actually made money, but the setup on Euro AUD was not as good as that 1 minute structure. And that's because I've done a lot of back testing to prove what setup I like to trade and what setup is most profitable for me. And when we see that 1 minute retest, that's a safe spot to look for entry if the 15-minute setup is good. I have to keep saying that. I don't want you to think you're just trading off the 1 minute. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that? I don't see any questions coming in the chat. If that sounds good, if everybody's following me, hit the thumbs up button for me. Let me know it's making sense. Questions in the chat, thumbs up if it makes sense, please. Ebert, you got it? Good. Everybody's hitting the thumbs up button. Good. Okay, so that makes sense. Now, let's transition over to Euro AUD so you can see what I'm looking at here. Now, again, same idea. Swapping market sentiment line, buy zone into sell zone. In the Asian range still, you see here's the Asia low, here's the Asia high. And in the same sense, it's coming off a structure point from yesterday that was resistance when we were watching for an entry yesterday. Resistance, then turned support as it broke above, retested and came higher. So now that is a support zone confirmed, right? Now, as it hits that level multiple times here overnight, as we go from the Asian session into the London session, you can go to the 1 minute and you can actually find, look, whoops. You can find, let me blow this up, bullish divergence at the same time as Euro CAD was making it, right? See how the RSI is rising, price is falling. You get higher lows in. And here, it pulls the market sentiment line into the buy zone around 5:30 in the morning, but it never breaks back under the 50 EMA before it extends higher. Now, it does do it here, but this is a little bit too late in the move, too far off the 15-minute 8 EMA, in my opinion, for me to want to take a position. But that's what we're looking for, is that break of the 50, coming back up through the 50 with the market sentiment line in the zone that we want to trade. And here, you just don't get that break under the 50 and back up through the 50 EMA, the light blue line here, with the market sentiment line in the buy zone. See how it moves into the buy zone right here? Notice how it does not break under the 50. It just rises and then it pulls back now. I still think this has the potential to come higher. I still think EuroCAD could come higher, but right now their setups are not saying that they're ready to move up exactly how we like to see them present for an A1 or a D1 signal. But do you see now the difference if we go to the 1 minute on EuroCAD? You can see how it breaks under the 50 for a minute and then comes back above, versus on Euro AUD, it does not do that. Okay, that's what I want everyone to understand very clearly, that we're looking for that safe entry, and that's what we go into detail in the course and in the D1 deep dive. Now, the D1 deep dive is a piece of bonus content that I've created. We did it a few weeks ago. That's now an additional 2 hours of content that's been added onto the advanced course to go into even more detail on the D1 system. So if you aren't in the courses right now, make sure when you sign up, you grab the starter pack. You can click the link in the description. You can go grab it right now if you're ready. But make sure you grab the starter pack so you get access to the divergence course. That's going to then give you access to the D1 deep dive. So you really understand how to find these safety entries. That's what we're calling them, just because the probabilities are shifted so much in your favor when you find that 1 minute setup, if the 15-minute setup is good as well. Now, does that make sense? Does everybody see the difference between Euro AUD and Euro CAD? Tibor said, with the same logic, I watched GU. The EMA position even told me that tiny dip into the buy zone. The L50 is still short potential. Yep, you got it. Is everybody following me? Does this make sense to everybody? And I can show you one more example here. If you look at Euro USD, this is Euro USD on the 1 minute. Let me just show you the 15-minute first. So on the 15-minute, you can see I have it marked off as a D1 idea here from this zone set on the previous day, set at yesterday's Asia low. See how it was support, broken. Now it's resistance above. Now it's resistance above. When we come back to that zone, naturally, I'm not going to think we're going to break through. I'm going to think, okay, market sentiment is saying we're bearish today. We're at a key level. This could easily fall back down to yesterday's low, where we found resistance here and we found resistance here. So you're trading zone to zone, which is normally what you're doing. When people say they're not trading zone to zone, they normally just don't see the zones that they're trading within. That's all it is. But here on the 1 minute, same kind of thing as Euro AUD. If you look, you do not get that 50 EMA retest. It breaks the 50 and it just falls. Here, how it retests the 50 now is just too late, in my opinion. It's already too far off the 8 EMA on the 15 minute. We're already extended into the zone. This isn't a position that I would look to take here off that 50. it would have needed to do it up here on the 1 minute, up here. Does that make more sense? But again, you can see it does not break through the 50 and come back down through, and that's why I'm not in the position short. That's the safety entry that I'm looking for. I'm not just taking the break at the 50 and watching it. It needs to have the market sentiment in the right zone. It needs to have the divergence. It needs to have structure coming in my favor. That's where we're then going to see just the highest probability trades. Look, there's money to be made if you would have just thrown a short entry in, but it's about repeating that over and over again. That's why I preach the idea of you need a system. You need the rules. Without the rules, without backtesting, without the system, you're just gambling. That's as simple as it is. You're just gambling. Let's transition over to USD CHF so you can see what